What's up, YouTubers and Joy Toy fans? Welcome back and welcome to another edition of Creative Corner. And right here on the bench, I've laid out multiple different figures with their included stands. But as you can tell by the title, today we're going to be talking about Joy Toy figures and their lack of stands. Now, being a big Joy Toy collector, it often puzzled me as to why Joy Toy never really included stands. Now, like I said, I've been collecting Joy Toy for quite some time, and I am aware, because I do have the figures, that they did offer these stands. Now, unfortunately, these were only exclusive to specific figures. Another option that they offered, when they were releasing their earlier figures, they would package them in these clear containers. And these containers have stands on top, and right here you can see the actual foot peg. And the purpose of these is to put the figure on the figure stand and flip it upside down and put the figure inside. Now, unfortunately, when you have a figure like this gentleman right here, who has wings and is very wide, he unfortunately won't fit inside this cube. Now, granted, you can still buy these and omit this cube and put it aside and just use the stand itself. But what I didn't want is a bunch of these cubes just laying around, not being used for anything. Now, if we take a look at this stand right here and look at this particular peg, these unfortunately are only specific for the Joy Toy figures. But again, if you want to buy these cubes and just use the stands, you're certainly welcome to do so. I'm going to get this aside and put this gentleman aside. Let me get these out of the shot. And I've tried multiple different types of figure stands. That's why I have these figures laid out in front of us. And I think we'll start over here with the Flash. Now, he's a higher figure. He comes with a stand, and if I take him off, you look right there, there's a really tiny peg. Now, obviously, unfortunately, this isn't going to work for the Joy Toy figures. It's just too small. So that's not a good option. Next, I tried the Marvel Universe figures, and when these figures came out, they included stands, and they also had their names on there, which was a really fantastic touch. Put Magneto down, and let me grab her, and I'll show you that these pegs are also way too small. They just won't support the figures. Get Magneto's stand back up here. And of course, if you're any type of G.I. Joe collector, I'm sure you have a ton of these stands in your collection. Here's a G.I. Joe stand. Again, another really great stand with the figure's name on front. Now, if you look at these pegs, these look like they would actually work. Let me grab her, and unfortunately, again, these don't work either. They're unfortunately just too small. Alright, Gung Ho. Get you back on your stand here. The next figure stand I tried is the Marauders Task Force stands. And let me pop the figure off, and I thought, okay, maybe these will work. Now, if you notice on these stands is a narrow peg right here, and those are specific for right here. Those are specific for these figures, and there's a very wide peg, which I think is way too wide for the figures, but nope. Just a little too small and just a little too big. Sounds like that children's nursery rhyme, doesn't it? So, much to my exhaustion, I've tried to go through all my figures and give each one of them a shot. Alright, of course right here is a Small Joe's figure stand, and these are specific for the vintage G.I. Joe figures, and I have one right here, and again, that peg is about the same size as that Marauder peg, and this is just way too large to fit in the bottom of the feet, so that's not going to work. Alright, let me get this off camera, slide him back. I'm running out of options here, guys, so the next one I tried is the Boss Fight Studios figure stands. Now, this particular line with every one of their figures includes a stand, and I thought, okay, these are pretty unique, so these have to work. These look like they would work. Grab her. And unfortunately, we're striking out here. These are just too small as well. Alright, get the Barbarian back on his stand. And of course he's going to give me a hard time on camera. Alright, there he goes. Another stand I actually tried was when Star Wars came out. Some of those old figures came with stands. And here's Mace Windu, and we pop this off. Really great looking embossed Star Wars stand right here, and said, okay, these are pretty unique. And the winner is... nope. Again, just too small. Ah, the frustration. Alright, Mace, get back on here. So I went on the internet and started looking around, and I said there's got to be some type of option out there. Now, if you collect mask figures, you might be aware of these. These particular stands are sold on the aftermarket, and these work great for mask figures, but they also come with the title Star Stands. Now, these are specific for your vintage Star Wars action figures. But I thought that maybe these small stands would work with my 124th or 125th Joy Toy figures. But unfortunately, that peg is just way too tiny. But they do work perfectly for these guys. And I really like being able to display my mask figures proudly on the shelf. One last ditch effort I found on the internet were these. These are DC Universe figure stands. And what these are, I have one out of the box here. There's 40 of them stacked in here nice and tight. I took one out to show you. And these have a very specific size peg. But these are generally for your superpowers figures, I would say. And again, this peg is just way too darn small. What a strikeout.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
So I wasn't going to give up there. I'm a very stubborn person, and I had to come up with my own idea. It just makes me curious as to why Joy Toy doesn't offer stands. I mean, you can go and hunt these down, but that would be really expensive and just wouldn't make any sense. So I wasn't sure what to do. I mean, granted, these figures are incredibly posable, so you can make them take a knee, or you can get them in a little bit of action posing if you want them to. Otherwise, they're going to just stand static like this. And the other issue I had is I was trying to find a stand for these guys, the 125th release Joy Toy figures. And by sheer irony, after looking at these closely, the peg holes on the bottom of these feet are the same exact size as the 1/18 scale release figures. Now, these tiny figures are incredibly posable as well, but unfortunately, these didn't come with any type of stands either. Now, be it that these figures are really tiny with small feet, one good bump and they all come falling down. So what was my solution? I measured the size of the holes, I went on Amazon, and I found these. And what these are 2mm by 3mm really powerful magnets. And as you can see on the box here, you can get 200 of these for under 10 bucks. I think I got these for around $8. And let me open this up and I'll show you. They come in this really great container. They're incredibly powerful. They hold together really well, and believe it or not, these are the exact size we need for both these lines. I went with the 2mm high magnets because this is the perfect depth for both sets of these figures, both lines, 1/18 scale and 1/25 scale. So that takes care of the peg version. What do you stick that to? Well, a metal washer. And as you can see, it sticks on there perfectly. Now I grabbed two different types of washers, a really large one for the big figures and a small one for the small figures. Well, that was a perfect example of my issue. You don't know how many times I've stood these figures up in my dios, and one bump, they all come tumbling down like dominoes. Now when it comes to these washers, I just grabbed them at my local Home Depot. These were relatively cheap, and as you can see, they're just flat metal plain washers. You don't have to use these type. This is just the type I wanted to use. And the great thing about these is they're just heavy enough and flat enough. And they won't take up a lot of space on my shelf. So I'm going to show you how to use these with both these size figures. So hopefully this doesn't keep happening. Of course, the last option you could use, and I'm sure you're saying, Woodman, what about this? Of course you can use sticky tack if you like. Now I personally just don't want to use this because it is exactly that. It's sticky. And I really don't want to stick this to the bottom of my figures and try to get it out of the peg holes and stick them on my shelves or anything. But certainly you can use this if you like to. Alright, let's get down to business now. Let me get these on camera. And I will definitely leave a link in the description below if you guys are interested in getting these. And as you can see, they're really powerful magnets. And I leave them stacked like this just because it's a lot easier to handle. And I will take this figure, and I want to do this on camera to show you just how this works. Now, it doesn't matter which foot you put this in. I did not heat this figure up at all. These small figures, I am not going to lie, are a little fiddly, so bear with me. You have to line this up, push it in place. Again, reaching around in front of the camera makes it a little bit more difficult, but oh, there we go. Once it grabs onto the peg hole, you push it in, and as you can see, it's just sitting in there. You grab one of these washers over here, stand the figure up here, and boom, there you go. And he's not going to fall down. And as I said earlier, the unfortunate thing with this 1/25th scale is they fall down real easy. But now that he has a nice sturdy base, you can grab this figure over here, and now you can get these guys into more dynamic posing. As opposed to just standing upright and static on your shelf like this, now you can do something like this and make it a little bit more interesting. Another thing to note is I didn't use absolutely any glue. These magnets fit in those holes perfectly. And the beauty is, when you want to remove these, which I'll show you at the end of the video, they come out incredibly easy. You slide these guys aside. Now I've done this to quite a few of my figures before I shot this video, and I figured we'd do one more figure, and I did find that some of these figures can be a little bit more difficult than others, and it looks like this might be one of them. But I promise you, the hole is exactly the same size for all these figures. Try this side. And the trick is again, reaching around in front of the camera. It's a little difficult. So let me grab him again. Try right here. And I wanted to do this on camera just to show you exactly what you might come across and run into. But there we go. It grabbed on, no problem at all. And if the magnet sticks out, you just push it down a little bit. And you see how it's standing proud right there? You can just grab a washer and push it in flat. And now it's nice and flat. And it's not going to fall out. So you take your washer, stick the figure on there, and you know what? Just to show you how powerful they are, he's standing on one leg. After going through my entire collection of stands, such a simple repair or simple fix to get these figures to stand up. Alright, let's move on to the 1/18 scale figures next. Moving on to the 1/18 scale figures, I want to grab this character right here, and if you have any of these big, chunky, back-heavy figures, you can see they're pretty wobbly. Now, this is a really great help to these figures as well. The peg hole size is exactly the same as the 1/25th scale, and these are a little bit easy to work with because you have a bigger surface and thicker legs to hold on to. Alright, we'll grab this and try to get this into the foot peg hole. Give it a little wiggle, and yeah, that went in real easy. And as you can see, it is sticking up a little bit, so I will grab a washer, push it in flat, like that. And now, Let me grab his helmet here. You can get this guy into some pretty dynamic posing. Put his helmet back on. Stick him on the washer here, and again, common sense with these bigger figures. You want both their feet flat to the table, but this gives you a little bit more options for these larger figures. Alright, let's try one more figure. Let's do a female here. Again, same exact thing. Let me grab this stack of magnets here. Put it in the peg hole, and wow, yeah, see, wow, that one went in real easy. No problem at all. Now, if you have a heavy figure, you might want to put one in each of their feet and use 2 washers. That's your preference. I've been finding that one seems to be working okay. Grab a washer here and put it down. And voila. I wanted to bring him in on camera again, and again, he's very back heavy with all this flight equipment. And as you can see, there's just absolutely no way you can get him to stand up in this pose without him falling over. So off camera, I stuck a magnet in each one of his feet. Now again, you can use one or both. And as long as both their feet are flat on the table, one washer will do it. And now he can stand there. Now I know a lot of you aren't fans of magnets out there, but I really think this just adds one more dynamic to posing your figures and make them a lot more interesting to look at while they're on your shelf or your table. Now mind you, I went through all my figure stands in my collection, and you saw that not a single one of them worked for the Joy Toy line. There's one more option I'd like to share with you before we remove the magnets. If you don't want to use these washers, because I have quite a few of these tiny figures, you can actually get a piece of metal or a metal noteboard and put it on your tabletop. And what I want to do is, I'll get all these figures out of the way, I'll put the metal on the table, and I'll show you how to stick them on there. I believe I purchased this on Amazon a while ago, and basically what this is you put this on the wall, and this is so you can hang notes off of. It's a metal sheet which is finished. Of course it's metal and it is magnetic, so I'll show you right there. So what you can do is take these smaller figures, let me remove the washer and stick them on here. Grab another one. This is a really great option if you have a lot of these figures, and you put this right up on your shelf, make some action poses, and of course you can use them for the 1/18 scale figures too. And now that really takes advantage of both those magnets and that larger figure back there. So if you don't want to use these, you can use this big piece of metal. Of course, you could probably find this at Walmart or Target or basically any department store. This is just another really great option to set on your shelf and make a nice diorama. Alright, before we wrap up the video, let's get on to the magnet removal, and you're going to be blown away at just how easy this is. Again, I did not use any glue of any type. I did not heat up the figures to put the magnets in, and of course that was by design. And I'm going to show you how to get these magnets out. Now, if you're any type of collector, you're going to know what this next tool is. Everybody must have one of these. The generic blow dryer. Isn't it funny how we have to use these with any and all of our collection nowadays? And I guess that's just due to the plastic that they use. But I can remember when I was younger, we never heated up our figures to move them around. Alright, let's get one of these magnets out. So basically, you just take the figure here, aim the blow dryer at his foot. It's going to get noisy, so I apologize. Warm up the figure. These little figures don't need a lot of heat. You take the washer, and it draws the magnet right out. It is just that easy. So if you don't want to use the magnet anymore, or you're afraid that it's going to lose its strength or polarity, you just take it out. Alright, let's try this figure next. Again, I have to heat her up, so it might take a little bit longer. I'm doing this on camera to show you just how long I hold this on here. Get that to see a little bit bigger figure. It might take a little longer to heat up. Now I'm purposely doing this on camera to show you how long I actually heat these figures up. You take your washer and boom, voila, the magnet comes right out again. The beauty of all this is none of this is actually permanent. We didn't do any damage to any of the figures. You can take the magnets out at your own will, and they'll also help you stand these figures up. Of course, having a blow dryer is an indispensable tool for any collector. I mean, I use mine so much I actually put a hook underneath my bench here because I use it so often. I purposely didn't heat the figures up because I wanted the holes to be nice and tight to hold the magnets in. With that, we're going to wrap up this video. I'll get these figures out of the way here. I'll show you the magnets one more time. You can use any size washer you like, and again, I'll put the link for the magnets in the description below. Well, that's going to conclude another Creative Corner video and another video for the Creative Corner playlist. A really simple, inexpensive, and easy way to get your figures to stand up on the shelves and not have that domino effect. I hope you found this helpful. I'd like to thank you for watching, as always, and if you like what you see, join the community. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for future notification of upcoming videos. And of course, help a fellow collector out and share your knowledge.